squares, some fast, easy quilt squares, so that you can get quilting in a much easier way than lots and lots of measuring. So let's just jump right in here. To start with, you're going to start with the only time you're ever going to measure for this project. You're going to measure your first square. You can do any size you want. You just want to make sure that it is a perfect square, because this is going to be your base for all your, as it blooms open, all your next cuts are going to be based on this. And so what you're going to do is start with 2 pieces right side together, like that. Make sure it's nice and straight. So this would be my raw edge, my back edge of my fabric. Since it's not a print, it makes it look a little harder to see. But this would be the right sides are on the inside. And then all I'm going to do is sew a 1/4 inch all the way around. That's going to be my start. I'm going to sew a little bit slow so that my there we go, so that my sewing machine isn't too loud. If I go full speed, it gets kind of loud. And pivot for the last. Okay, there we go. So there it is. There's my first quilt square. So what I'm going to do is grab a pen and a ruler. We're not actually going to measure anything, but we're going to make a straight line. So I'm going to line up my ruler in the corners here as straight as I can. And I'm going to draw a line and then rotate it the other way and draw a line. Okay, so now I have this X going through my fabric. And what we're going to do here, normally in quilting, you would cut this all the way through to get your different pieces that you're going to sew together. But in this quick, easy way, what we're going to do is pull these apart. We're only going to cut through the top layer. So I'm going to line that up, and I'm just going to do one little snip to get it started. And I'm only cutting through the top. See that? I'm going to cut straight. And I'm going to try to cut as close to that stitching as I can without cutting the actual stitching. I'm going to go through like that, cut as close as we can, as close as I can, and last cut, like that. So then what's going to happen, it's going to bloom open. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? It's blooming open. So now what we're going to do is iron this so that we get a nice, good press like that. Want it nice and flat. Now we can see what we really have here. Already it's looking very quilty. And so you're going to have these extra spots here that don't even worry about. What we're going to do is we're going to add our next color. So my next color is going to be this really bright green that I have. Get this laid out here for you. And you'll see you don't even have to measure. All you have to do is put your piece down like this, and then we're just going to cut around. Just like that. And then that's where you can cut off those little extra diamonds, like right there. And cut this way. And then cut this way. Just like that. So now I have this piece. I can square this up just a little bit here, like that. Now I have my next piece to sew. Again, this would be right sides together. So this is my right side. And I'm going to keep as I bloom it open, I'm going to keep this down, and that's going to stay, whatever's down is going to be your center for when it blooms open. So now let's do it again. Let's sew this all the way around at a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, then we're gonna trim. There you go. Now let's bloom it again. The way we're gonna do that is we're gonna grab our ruler and our pen, and we're gonna go corner to corner, get this as straight as you can, and draw your line, and then corner to corner again, draw your line. Now we're gonna cut this open. Same thing again, we're only gonna cut through this top layer. So you're gonna pull this apart like that. Get it straight here. Make sure you don't cut through that bottom layer. Just this top layer. We're gonna do a little snip like that. And then I'm gonna put the scissors in. You can see I'm only cutting through the top and into that corner. And then turn and do it again. Into the corner. And feel free to comment, you guys, if you have any sewing questions, any quilting questions. I would be happy to answer all your questions. Please feel free to like and subscribe too so that you don't miss any more of these tutorials coming up. And so here, watch this bloom open. See how it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So next step is we're going to iron these pieces down. Like that. Iron, iron, iron. And this also helps square up each time you do this. So now you can see I'm getting this blooming square happening here. And so what I'm gonna do is show you my first square. I started with a 3-inch square. And because I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you can see the seam allowance there, seam allowance there. So my 3-inch square reduced down to 2.5 inches, which is what I would expect with the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then it bloomed open this way. So see, we're getting here, see how we're getting bigger there? And then we're getting, now the green brings us all the way out to about 6 inches here. So you can see it just is getting bigger and bigger, and we can keep doing this, making it bigger and bigger. So let's do that. Let's add red back again. Again, the easy way of doing this. I'm just gonna put down my fabric with the right side up. If this was a print, you want the good looking side here. And then you can just lay this on top like that. Get your good scissors, your good fabric scissors. And we're gonna just trim around. And as we do that, we're gonna trim off that extra little triangle there. No measuring, no rotary cutter. You can do all this while you're just sitting at your sewing machine. So it's a really relaxing way to quilt, to get these squares going and make a blanket where you could do it fast. It's really fun. It's really relaxing. Just have all your things that you're going to need, all your accessories and everything that you're going to need ready to go so you can just sit and sew. And so there we go. There's my sewn side. It's all nice and pressed flat. The seams look good. They don't pucker or stick out because they're not too thick. And there's my new side that I'm going to sew. Again, right sides together. I'm going to sew it at a 1/4 inch. Move these out of the way. All right. Now, same thing. We're going to draw these corners, corner to corner. Draw my line. Make sure I line it up with the stitching, those pivot lines. Go this direction. My straight line. Then I'm going to do my cuts again. Again, do not cut through the bottom. Leave the bottom open. I'm going to make a little snip to get my scissors started, and then I'm going to put my scissors in, and again, do not cut through the bottom. Just this top cut as close as you can to that stitching without actually cutting the stitching. And the other way. And my last 2 cuts right here. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below. I'd be happy to show you anything you're not understanding, or if you want to see a different way to do this or some variation you're wondering about, please comment below and let me know what questions you have. I'm so happy to answer them for you. And here we go. Our quilt is blooming open even more. So to get this looking really good, we make sure we iron really good. And that's what's going to give us those nice crisp edges. Push this open just like that. I like to really, really, really press it down. And look at how good that looks. And this is so easy to do. So I could stop here and this could be my square. This is now 5.5 inches. So again, we started at 3 inches. Our square here was 3 inches. And then with the seam allowance cutting it, it ended up being about 2.5. So doing 1, 2, 3, 4 different times, I'm up to 5.5 inches. So you can kind of plan out the starting square, how big you want your starting square to be. Maybe you want to make just a pillow and you want just one piece like this. I would start with a bigger square and then you'll end up with your square. The other thing you can do is, of course, you can sew all these together. You can start with a different color, and then as you sew them together, it'll look different. Or you can add a trim line on each end, just like I would do, just like a 1.5 inch strip on the ends. That always looks really good too, to kind of isolate each square, and that gives you an opportunity to bring in another color. You could do a print just here. So you can see there's a lot of different options on this, and it's such a relaxing, nice way to sew. It's really fun. I really like just doing this and having these little pieces done. I made a purse out of one. And this one I was thinking about making like a little pillow out of it, making it a little bit bigger, and then doing the other side opposite, starting with the green and building it out. So you can see there's a lot of different ways to do this. So please, again, if you guys have any questions, please comment below. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can see all the different kinds of sewing tips that I love to share with you guys, and love to interact with you guys. So anything else you have for me, please comment below, and let's start getting sewing and making some fun stuff together. Have a great day, you guys.